just what's the preparation look like in terms of keeping guys ready?
We were able to get a good practice in yesterday. We pushed it up to 12:45, so it was like guys were out of class, and then we were able to get a good couple hours on the field. We've adjusted some things defensively that we're doing, and I want to keep those guys in that routine. And we worked them extremely hard yesterday. The pitchers all got their scheduled throwing in. I was disappointed in not getting to play because Lamar's a good team, and like scouting them, it would have been a good game last night. But I can't control the weather. I mean, the way it rolled in, it looks like we made the right decision. But we were able to get done what we wanted to get done. I think this time of year, it's more about, hey, with each individual player, this is what we need you to do in the game for us to be successful, and then patterning that. So both offensively and defensively, we're able to get some of those things done.
Do those things vary from player to player?
Yeah, for sure. Now you could group them kind of, a little bit, but it's just I want there to be real clarity in what we need guys to do, and the game teaches you some of that, and you should have better awareness of that 30 games into the season or 32 games into whatever we are at this point in time, and I think we do, and so you move past kind of the foundational stuff that you drill in the fall and leading into the season, and then you can't learn more about your team until you play somebody else. And then there's another layer of it here, maybe playing conference games and elevating the competition. So all of those things we've just tried to use to find out our path the best way possible, and for each guy, and try to accentuate those things. We'll do the same thing when we get there tonight.
Is that a sheet that you give them? How do you like them?
Yeah, it's just a practice plan, and it's just, instead of like a team-oriented thing, it's like we just call it attention to detail. So a couple segments of attention to detail offense and attention to detail defense.
But it's not specifically you go to player A.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, we talk about it and lay it out. I think clarity is so important. I think simplicity is so important, and especially this time of year. And so, it's they're working hard and they want to be good at it. And I think it's just identifying what we need them to execute and have them prepared to do it in the game. And so that's kind of the roadmap this time of year, and seems to be helping some of them along, and we just need to kind of stay with that.
And that's mostly offensively pitcher related?
No, it's the whole game. Like, there's segments of Coach Kelly aligning it. He's very good with what the analytics tell him, what his experience tells him with similar guys to what he's had, scouting reports, and then patterning guys, a certain way. And then offensively, it's just like that's what we do. There's your execution-oriented guys. There's your run-producing guys. There's your what I would call your balanced attack guys. There's things that maybe that we've seen that they need to do better to help us win. And the only way you can expect them to do it is to prepare them to do it. And so you do that, and then you help them understand that even at that, it's not going to be perfect because baseball is not designed that way, but sticking with it. And it was a good day, a productive day. And we need to continue to put those together, as we move along here. And so you're winning enough games. I've said this from the start, you're winning enough games as you go, and then you're finding out your best team, and you're improving as you're doing it. And hopefully we're doing that. And I think we are.
What's the latest on Gavin Duda?
Good news. He doesn't have a tear or a break or anything of that nature. We need probably some time to heal. We'll reevaluate it kind of when we get there today. He is going to go on the trip. It's probably more of a pain tolerance thing right now, and we'll find out. Happy for him. He looked pretty rattled, last weekend, and so thought it was a lot worse than what it showed, and it's really not. His pain tolerance will dictate if he can play or not.
Gavin tends to play, or at least he did in the past, plays through pain. So,
yeah.
But is that going to be something that's sort of up to him, or just as a group decision?
Group decision, yeah. We're obviously not going to play somebody if they're not able to play and play good. There's another element of this thing. Like, we have options with guys, and we're pretty beat up, to be honest with you. There's a quarter of the roster that can't do much, and I haven't really talked about that a whole lot because the attention should remain with the guys on the field, and it's next man up. That's how we're gonna do it. But I'm very relieved at that. He's with Gavin saying he's a leader, he's a hard worker, he's tough. Everybody loves him because of the person he is, and we need him. We definitely need him. So it's just a matter of when he can do it will be, how we can kind of, get him back going again.
That kind of happened on that play in the outfield that he made?
No. He slid at home on a close play at Florida. So, he was playing through it for an extended amount of time, and then it just something happened on Friday before the game. I really still am a little unclear. But, like I said, we evaluated it thoroughly and was kind of surprised that there's no damage. It's just a matter of can he tolerate pain or not.
Is that a wrist?
No, it was just in his hand. Yeah.
What about an update on Trey Morgan? I see him walking at knee brace today.
He's fine. Yeah, he's playing. He hurt it or tweaked it, I guess, in the first game or in the first inning on Friday, trying to legged out that single, and played pretty good after that. So, and he's tough and competitive, and if he's 90%, I'll take 100% of his 90% all day, every day.
It's something we don't really ever talk about, injuries, unless they're put you on the sideline in baseball. So guys have those nagging injuries this time of year, like in other sports. We don't think there's a contact sport, but there's a lot of contact involved.
Yeah, it's a tough man's game. It's not football where you're running into each other, but it's a tough man's game, and some guys deal with them and play through them, like Trey, and you definitely value those guys.
Is it? You may have spoken about this and haven't been there, but is it good to get away? Do you feel like there's a pressure break sometimes when you go on the road and it's you against the world?
I don't know. I mentioned this last week, and certainly feel like, going to some of these places like Mississippi State, Arkansas, it's like Rocky IV, when Rocky goes to Russia and fights Drago. I'm sure Arkansas will be the exact same way.
Is there something that you gleaned from playing in front of 15,000 fans? Not that Florida didn't have nice crowds as well, but
They did. It was full.
Fans, and now you're probably going to see that type of number. Is there something that you learned from that?
Well, I think it's awesome. Like I don't even get to play. I just coach the game, and it fires me up. And you kind of look around and go like, sometimes like, man, 7 years from now, your future wife's going to be trying to get you to do stuff you don't always want to do, and you're going to wish you're at Mississippi State or Arkansas and competing. So I think it's awesome. It's one of the reasons I came here.
You see the guys kind of respond to that?
I think they responded outstanding, and for them, it's a different kind of response that you're looking for. They stay focused on the task at hand, and away from here, they've done a good job of that. I think the Houston trip was invaluable for us. Just those crowds were really big on Friday and Saturday, you don't see something like that till you go to Omaha. But the next closest thing is when you're Florida had a full house, Mississippi State, and I'm sure Arkansas and be the same.
After kind of a big weekend, how have you seen Pearson respond this week?
He's great. Yeah, his head and his heart, as I would say, are right, and that's how freshmen have success. Obviously, he was recruited here because he has some ability. He's a good hitter. He has great feel for hitting. Not surprised he's pushing his way in there. I think when you have depth in the lineup, you can make a case. Our offense is probably the strength of the team, and we're kind of trying to figure out that right defensive combination. He started the first 2 games of SEC play against Texas A&M, so that shows that we had faith in him. But it's time for him to be a big part of what we're doing, and I'm excited about that.
When did he you said he's always been a good hitter, but when did he kind of start to show you something that when there was an opening?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think, going back to Houston, he pinch hit against Oklahoma, and the game looked like it was moving real fast for him at that time. And then against Texas, I think he got on base or drew a walk or got hit by a pitch, but it looked like a little bit better, but still looked kind of fast. The following weekend, I pinch hit him when we were down in that game against Bethune, but it was a big spot. Like the bases were loaded and we were trying to come back. And he took a really good at-bat there. Had a huge at-bat against Tulane. And kind of from that, when we got back from Houston on, you could kind of see you could kind of see it progressing. And there's another element to him, like even when he doesn't drive the ball or get hits, he takes good at bats. And we need more of that if we're going to be an elite team. I mean, like we're going to hit our homers. I mean, and that's great. And trust me, I'm never not going to high five a guy for that. But when we move the ball, when we take our walks, get hit with pitches, fundamentally sound offensively, we score 10 and 12. And that's what we want to be. You know what I mean? Like you want to put the whole thing together. He's probably one of the guys on our team that helps us do that better than anybody else. So when I say like it's his time to play, it's his time to play.
Is there something to that line that freshmen don't know what they don't know, or would you rather them know?
Well, I mean, for me, I'm the one guy in the program that, we're forcing everybody to look at the now, but moving forward, and you want to have some foundational players, not just from a talent standpoint. You know what I mean? We definitely have that when you're looking at Trey and Dylan and Jordan. But, to have, some guys like Grant Taylor, Sam Dutton, Josh Pearson, Josh Stevenson start to emerge, that's a real positive thing. And so you can start to, we want to build a great program, not just have a bunch of talented players running around here. I think what I'm excited about is how we're doing it. This is all that they know. And, moving forward, it'll be the best guys, that stay and help us create that foundation. And those guys are the part of that.
I can't ask this question without making it sound negative, but like, is it they don't have any bad habits, or they don't have habits necessarily? They're building your habits the way you want them.
Well, no, I think those four, they come in with good ones. I mentioned this about Josh. I mean, he came in with a better hitting foundation than most guys. His dad's a really good hitting coach, baseball family, has a solid understanding of what he's doing. We made some small adjustments, swing wise in the fall, but it's his hand-eye. It's his ability to separate balls from strikes. It's his ability to make adjustments that good hitters need to. And really all we wanted to do is like, hey, we think this guy's going to be really good. Let's get him in position to hit SEC or highest level college baseball pitching, and he'll take care of the rest. And that's what it is. So Josh Stevenson, another baseball family, hard worker, great parents, great character, will do what we tell him to do, and he's a really good athlete. When I go out to the mound and talk to Taylor and Dutton and those guys, they can get themselves refocused quickly. And one of my favorite moments of the weekend was Sam gave up the homer in the first. We got out of the first. We gave up a 1-out double. He went 2-0 to the next guy. I went out there, and then the inning was over 3 pitches later, just because he got himself and he made 2 really good pitches to get weak contact fly balls. So they're just good kids that are good players that were raised right and can help us set a good foundation.
You mentioned Grant Taylor. His brother is one of the first guys out of the pen there for Arkansas. Have you seen him on tape? Big lefty, 6'4", 250.
Yeah, I've went through their offensive part of their team in full. The pitching, we've looked at it a little bit. I usually spend the day before, making sure we have that whole piece wired. I know he's talented. I mean, if he's anything like Grant, he's competitive and has his stuff together. So, they're talented. I mean, nobody has recruited better in college baseball over the last 8 years than Arkansas in terms of talent, skill, tough kids, and so it'll be a fun weekend. Can't wait for it.
To clarify something with Gavin, with him traveling this weekend, could he be available depending on paint tolerance, or is that to work with Corey on his rehab?
Good question. I have 25 of the 27 spots are locked in. We're allowed, because of COVID, to take. I think we're taking 31 on the trip, and then so that's 6 more guys. The final 2 spots will come from those 6 guys. He's going on the trip. He did not do anything yesterday, but I usually leave it up until I turn the lineup card in of where are we at. Like he was on it obviously last week and he was in the lineup, and I took him off it. But we gotta have guys that can play on that 27 and do the most things available. And I'm hopeful, but I just don't know. It was so like such a big gap between what it seemed like the injury was and what it actually was. So it kind of comes down to, can he tolerate the pain and be effective in his play? So I hope he's on that 27, but we'll have to see.
20-3. Just get back to that recruiting. But they're 20-3 at home this season. Just get back to the talent. Tough situation.
Great program. The catching a pop-up away from winning the national championship in 18. I think they went back to Omaha in 19. I'm not positive about that, but I think they did. Best team in college baseball for the regular season last year. I think, you look at how it was put together, starting in the middle. Jalen Battles, the shortstop. I recruited him pretty hard at Arizona, but his JC coach, his brother, is the recruiting coordinator for Arkansas, so that was a waste of time. Robert Moore, great player, obviously. Wallace is projected to a potential first rounder. So, you don't get a better infield, than that. Stovall, freshman, good player. Nolan pitching really, really well, on the first game of the series. And they work at it. Transfer portal, they've dominated it since that became a thing. So it's a good program. Coach Van Horn's, one of the best in the business at this thing, and it's good assistants and great fan base. And again, I keep coming back to this, but it's okay. Like, we're trying to catch a lot of these places right now, and this is another one. And man, the only place maybe we can catch up to them right now is on the field, and that's about how we play, and that's exciting.
You feel good, kind of like you said, this thing's figuring itself out. You finding your rotation Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
I think you just learn more about your team. It's day to day. It's about the play. Nothing we did last weekend means a hill of beans relative to this weekend. I think might help me with some peace of mind of lining the pieces up, but the pieces still have to go out and execute, and our coaches still have to do a good job in the preparation, and the players have to stay in the right headspace and go out and compete. I think we're getting maybe to a place where we know who's better at that, on the mound and at the plate, and that's a great thing, and you need that, if you're going to play well and win. So I'm excited. I'm just excited for this weekend. I think it's great, and happy we are where we are to as we're heading there. All right, guys, have a good one.